could be big in the beginning, depending on what they find. And it looks like they're off.
Okay, already a divergent Sanctuary and Link's house. And they are both going to be going separate ways from the start. Awesome.
Really looks good. Jet's heading up to Hyrule Castle, and Gem's getting the map check.
Yep. We have the green pennant up at Hera. We have a crystal, I did not see the number, at Eastern Palace. And we have, it looked like the red pennant desert. So we have a crystal heavy dark world. It'll be interesting to see which one. Oh, wow. That 8 bomb pull from the tree off the bat.
That is a nice one to start with.
Yep, Jet is well set with his trip to the north between the 300 rupees at the house, and Jim just got their bomb drop as well. But it is definitely a healthy start for both rupees and money. Another 20 to add to the 300. And looks like, yep, Jet is saving and quitting. I guess
it looked like a heart piece at Lumberjack.
Okay, so Aghanim will not be required unless it is for Dark World access. Be interesting to see how that unfolds with the Kakariko check coming up here soon. Yep, and looking at chat, Furame, I definitely agree that an escape with bombs is not the easiest. Some people will risk it, but I think at this point, with the item density Kakariko provides, going straight into escape is more of a gamble play that you might see from some other players, but probably not from these two.
Chat also letting us know that it's 300 rupees at Lumberjack, not a heart piece.
Yep, we see it right there from Jet. He just checked as well. It is indeed 300 rupees. Aghanim stored some of his savings.
Seems like a safe place.
Yep, it's a lot of effort to get to. Okay, and it looks like we're going to be having Jet now following in Jim's footsteps. Oh, early boots. An early boot seed.
Definitely going to speed run now then.
Yep, the boots allows for much quicker checking of pretty much everything. And places that were inconvenient before become a lot less so. 300, yep, 300 rupees already exposed. Problems, IRL in the chat pointing out Jim is indeed one of the favorites to win the whole tournament. I would agree. Jim's gameplay is quite top-notch. Frequently, if they're in a race, they are one of the top 5 finishers. But Jet as well is a very strong player, and I believe he might still be a contender as well coming from the last tourney. We have a lot of people, actually, who are still at that point. A single rupee at Zora. That would be phenomenal to see. The perfect life lesson.
Jet picks up his boots.
A bee in a bottle, and immediately releases the bee for the 100 rupees. So, vanilla bottle with a bonus 100 rupees. Very nice. Get your money back.
Yeah, it looks like money won't be a problem at all during this seed.
No, it is indeed looking that way, and it looks like Jet is about 1 or 2 locations behind Jim trailing, but has the advantage of having checked Uncle already. Sick Kid comes up with 20 rupees.
Just hiding his allowance in his bed with him.
It's an interesting seed so far because we're nearly through Kakariko. We've seen the boots, a bottle, and nothing but rupees and health. Yes, for your aim. I do agree that having that bee in a bottle is fantastic for Mini Moldorn. I'm also a fan of using it in the Palace of Darkness Dark Room. But the 100 rupees for it, I can see the appeal in doing that. And Jim is over to the racing game. There is the cane, it appears. So they will definitely be going in for that. That is a scary fact, Kapow. Both of these racers are phenomenal. And in round 2 of Swiss, one of these individuals will be 1-0, another one will be 0-1. So that will be a fun matchup for someone.
Jem grabbing his cane, and Jet is on his way to get it as well.
Yep. Just a piece of art at the library, so we won't be seeing that building from either of them again in the future. Okay, Jim, it looks like, is heading towards Bonk Rocks. Not a bad choice with early boots.
Gets the location out of the way. You don't have to check that later. Worry about forgetting it.
Yep. Hole is rewarded with the gloves off the bat.
Very nice.
And it looks like that is changing up the routing already and heading to the back of Escape.
Smart choice. 3 items right there. Willing, ready to be grabbed.
And the bow already. Okay, so we will not be wondering where the bow is for the majority of the seed, as Jim has just pulled it out the back of Escape. Jet won't be finding it for a bit longer as he headed back to Link's house and to the south.
He's checking 2 items at Dam. Not a bad choice.
No, it's not, but he's going to be sore whenever he does get around to the Bonk Rocks and gets his own bow as a result of that lift upgrade.
Hopefully he doesn't forget about it.
You'll probably end up routing it in later on. Both of these players are very solid at remembering what they have available and where, so I imagine it will simply be a matter of when it's routed in. But it definitely, with Eastern being the lone crystal, it does give Jim a slight advantage, because with those 2 dark rooms, it is possible to sequence break them even without a sword, and could see a first crystal done real early.
That would be a nice start. And we see Jet is going into the mini Moldorm cane. Bomb strats.
Yep. I'm sure they're wishing that they had this be in a bottle still, but making sure it work even with the bombs. Yep, and Jim is making into Eastern Palace now. Curious to see if they go for the entire thing in the dark, or if it's simply the standard item check and then out.
I think he'll probably sequence break it. Without any arrows, you can actually use the bow to see where you are in the dark if he needs that.
And Jet picked up the Moon Pearl from the mini Moldorn cave, so I imagine we'll be seeing water walking here shortly. Ice Rod Cave, when it doesn't have an item, it's great to pass, but unfortunately, when it does, it's usually when you pass it, so checking it now is not a bad deal. And Rice Breaker, the bow, was in the back of Escape, locked by the lift, and holy cow, the Ice Cave holds the hook shot this time around.
Very good thing he didn't just skip over it in order to save some time.
Oh yeah. So while Jim has the advantage of the bow, Jet now has the hook shot. I don't think that there's enough items found yet to force a route change as far as where he prioritizes, but it's definitely interesting to see such important items so early between the 2 of them. Jet sequence break is scored with the blue tunic and bombos from the Waterfall Fairy Fountain. And
It looks like Jim got the hammer.
Yep. Hammer in Eastern Palace. What is this seed?
So far, pretty nice, because hammer does tempered damage. Doesn't have to worry about not having a reliable weapon.
Jet's Zord check. Is it a life lesson? Close enough to 1. Spend 500, get 20.
Looks like Jet is on his way to Eastern Palace now. Probably just doing the item check. I didn't see if he went and grabbed his glove yet.
And Jet rewarded with just a container, some money, Roshless. In this direction, if he goes into Eastern without the bow, that is definitely an immediate early game advantage for Jim. Early game. Yep, he is heading that way, Problems. So, the good news is, Jet will get the hammer, but the bad news is that points to Dark World access, and Bonk Rocks may not be checked. Actually, take it back. Since the lift is in Bonk Rocks, he won't be able to get it off the bat. Yep, and Jim is indeed making short work of Eastern. Who needs a lamp? They certainly don't.
At their level, lamp is probably just a luxury to them.
Yep, at this skill level, even Aghanim's climb could be done in the dark, I imagine. And a compass and a crystal, and Eastern is done. Yes, Ice Hookshot is indeed in an awkward location. Ice Rod Cave is not always near the top of priority for some runners. Very true, Vtort. Nobody does want to do the climb in the dark, but both of these players are certainly capable of it if they chose to.
Looks like Jem is making his southeast loop. Hopefully gonna pick up his hook shot.
Yep. And Jet looks like heading towards the dark room, and unfortunately will be stopped short because Bonk Rocks are blocking the bow. This is nice to see, using the bow on the mini Moldorns with surprising accuracy, except for that last one there. There we go. Jim's going to be picking up their Moon Pearl here in a moment. Jim now has Dark World access, but let's see if they decide to go check Hookshot or Fake Flipper.
Looks like they're heading to Ice Rod Cave.
No, it's a smart play. It and Agina both are locations that when you are in the vicinity, if you don't check it and there's something important, it just can bite you in the rear.
And working it into your route later is a bit difficult because they're both out of the way.
Yeah, and Jet is headed to the front of Escape, not having that Dark World access from lack of the lift. So we'll see what is down this direction.
And we already know the small key is in the back half of Escape, so if he finds the dungeon map, he's going to have an item in the dark of Escape.
Another bee in a bottle.
And there's a bottle sitting on the floating island.
Yep, and it looks like Jim is sequence breaking over to Hobo, getting that location out of the way. Yep, and Jet is putting that hammer to good use. Oh, there's the map in the front half of Escape.
So there is an item in the dark part of Escape in the sewers.
Here we see Jim, I don't remember the exact technicality of how it's done, but setting up Water Walk in that location, which then allows for a check of both Hobo, Waterfall Fairy, and Zora all in one. So Jim will pick up their blue mail and their Bombos.
And now they're off to get their life lesson from Zora. Jet's heading to Bonk Rocks. He's going to grab his Power Glove.
Yep. He's going to kick himself from the rear whenever he checks back to Escape and finds that bow. At this point in time, that is a slight edge to Jim, but not enough to decide things one way or the other.
Jet can always go back to Eastern when he does Pod, if that's a crystal as well.
Jet sees his map now, has an idea of where he may want to go, but instead of trying to do Eastern, he's heading up to Death Mountain. So another sequence break here. With his items, he will be able to unlock the warp location, check inside a Spectacle Rock, and get the knowledge on what's up top, but that's about all. And Jim is headed for Dark World in Kakariko here.
Jet will be able to hook shot over to East Death Mountain on the low side.
Yep. And that's correct. The hook shot will access to 7 chests, with the hammer allowing him all the way over to Hare if he wants to check it.
We have a map check from Gem. Looks like Turtle Rock is the blue pendant.
Okay. Get a bit lucky with that one, so there will be no hunt for the ice rod today. Going straight into Skullwoods in the Dark World here.
That's a nice bet. 2 items, and lately Skullwoods has been holding key items.
Yep. It has indeed. Every seed that I have seen or played, there's been some form of progression item inside of Skullwoods. And I see in the chat, mild card, pedestal. It is far too early in the seed to know one way or the other. Plus, in order to check what's at the pedestal, you need the book, which neither runner has at this point. We may see it perhaps an hour or so in, depending upon what they find in the seed.
Jet's entering Paradox Cave, and he looks like he's going to go grab the 7 items that are in here.
Yeah. Oh, Mirror is inside Skullwoods today, whereas Jet picks the shovel up out of that right chest. So, already some value paying off for Jim with the first to fetch quest items from Jet.
Be interesting to see if that leads to anything. Looks like Jet only got the shovel from the Paradox Cave and is now setting up his bomb jump to get to the other side.
Yep, that is the risk of sequence breaking without knowing how deep one might find the lamp, or the flute in this case as well with Death Mountain. It may be that there are no progression items in Death Mountain, at least in the light world. It's hard to tell. It's always a risk whenever you sequence break. And it looks like Jim is still left with one item inside Skull Woods for a revisit with the Fire Rod later on. But the mirror will allow for much cleaner checking of the overworld and easier access in and out of dungeons.
Especially when he gets over to Pod, having the mirror is very nice. Lets for a clean run through of that dungeon.
Yep. With the bow and the hammer, that will allow a warp rather than a death warp later on, saving just a little bit of time. Up, there we go. Lamp is cape locked.
Got Jet going into Tower of Hera.
Yep. Finding the big key off the bat, so basement may not be required. Depends on where the second item is. Of course, this is only a pendant dungeon, and again, Jet is sequence breaking, and we now know that the lamp is cape locked.
So far, just a red rupee for his efforts.
Yep, this may very well be an instance where sequence breaking hurts more than it helps.
That's true. We see Gem clearing out the village of outcasts, and he'll be able to go into Thieves Town as well.
Yeah, with the hammer, who needs a sword?
And he's got the Cane of Samaria. Very nice to have that with the blind fight.
And Ungarith and chat is wondering with the menu layout, with how weird their items currently are, if items can be inaccessible in the menu. That is not the case. If you go left and right, you actually change which row you're selecting. So every item is always available, but menus can always be laid out quite fun.
Here's Jet going into Trolldorm 1. See what happens here. Using the hammer against him.
The only redeemable fact about this, in my eyes, is the fact that this is the green pendant, and sometimes green pendant does lead to that last item other runners may be searching for. But looks like having a little bit of difficulty here. Moldorm is well known for its trolling.
Yeah, he wasn't cooperating for a moment there, but it looks like Jet got him.
Jim's a cute bunny. Okay. There's the big key for Thieves Town. And with blue mail and 9 hearts, Jim will have 0 issues with just about anything at this point. Their execution is quite well.
Yeah, the Hellway will pose no problem, and he should quickly move through that. Looks like chat wants the quick swap option.
Yep, a lot of people, especially those who have done rando, really love the quick swap. It gives both the L and R buttons a use. Oh, there we go. First sword from Jet in the Spiral Cave. So sequence breaking does finally pay off. But the question is, what has he lost in doing that time-wise? We'll see later on whether or not that truly is an advantage.
Yeah, but now it looks like he's going to go see if that shovel he picked up will pay off. He's going to go check the location.
Yep, he is continuing his line of sequence break choices. And gets a piece of heart for his troubles. We may finally see Jet go into the dark world south of Link's house, would be my guess here. Whereas Jim is already heading towards Blind, Wrapping up Thieves Town here probably in the next minute and a half at most. Yep, so Jet will probably be heading right for Hype Cave. And then from there, anyone's guess.
See if Hype Cave actually has some hype in it today.
Rupees from the Fox. Health and rupees from inside. Hype Cave is not all that hype. So, Jet is finally back in the intended logic at this point, though. So, it'll be interesting to see what else make to turn up as he heads west here.
Looks like he'll probably be checking Stumpy and that location south of the Haunted Grove on the ledge. So it sounds like Jet did the digging game, not sure what he got, but chat seems to be saying he got the flippers.
Yeah, we had a bit of frame issue with the drops on the back end, but it looks like it is working once more. Jim finished off Thieves Town, Jet did his digging game, and he is now heading into the Dark World, again putting off the back of Escape. It looks like Jet came up with flippers at the dig game. The further that back of Escape gets put off, the more Jet's gonna kick himself when he does finally get over there.
Definitely come and kick him in the rear if he forgets it for too long.
Yep, with both Eastern and Pod being crystals, as we just saw map check, and Jim finds the cape. So the lamp isn't buried too far, but the lamp is locked behind the graveyard ledge, which is locked behind Skull Woods.
Looks like he's checking King's Tomb now. Nice to pair up that location with the back ledge of Graveyard.
Yep. The overworld checks, it's largely about efficient routing. And that's where having the mirror is giving Jim an edge over Jet if he heads up in that direction next. My guess would be Jet is most likely going to head to Skull Woods once he clears Thieves, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Very true, Ack. The lamp may serve as their fire source, and the fire rod could be locked behind Desert Palace or the such, or a fire source elsewhere. Yep, Jim sees the lamp and goes right for it. After only a little bit of difficulty with the murder birds.
Yeah, they have a tendency to troll you whenever you try to walk past.
For being birds, they deal a lot of damage. Even in Blue Tunic, it's 2 hearts per hit, I believe.
I believe that's right, and they're programmed so that they will not leave you alone. The birds in the light world will leave you alone after 2. Jem's grabbed his lamp, and the murder bird comes back after him.
Yep. Jem, still swordless, is heading back towards Thieves Town. My first guess is Dig Game, Stumpy, and Hype Cave to maybe the pyramid. We'll see. Okay, dig game. After 10 digs, Jim finds their flippers. And again, those boots being so early, we're 30 minutes in. We already have the bow, the hook shot, the boots, hammer, lift, moon pearl, Samaria, and the mirror. With Turtle Rock being the only Dark World pendant, we still have quite a few items to go, but it is a nice start at the 30-minute mark.
Always nice to see early progression. And Jem's leaving his arrows in the cave.
Yep, picking up the health though, I don't blame him. It is a nice spot for a few hearts if you're a little bit low.
Especially when you're going back in the Dark World. Lots of things like those murder birds hit like trucks.
Yep. And from the knowledge we've gotten from Jem finding that cape to the lamp, we now know that Jet's sequence break to Death Mountain was not that hard a break in the logic.
Yep. Now Jet's bringing Blind up to the chamber. He's going to start that fight in a little while.
Yep. At this point in time, Jet's just retracing Jem's steps. And Jem's going to find nothing here in the cave. And my guess would be up to Pyramid Ledge. And then perhaps Pod or Catfish. Jet's blind fight, phase 1, perfect. I imagine we'll see a near flawless here. Just about, still a pretty quick blind kill from Jet. Jim is going for the island. And grabs red goo for it.
It's a nice safety to have. Refill your health when you need it.
Yep, definitely. Even with blue tunic, 10 hearts, and very good execution, sometimes some of these dungeons can and will troll you.
It looks like he's heading up to Pod.
Very smart play, although Eastern has already been cleared. You still have 5 items inside a pod, it's completable. And you're already here, so why not?
We'll have to see afterwards if he pairs it grabbing Catfish. This might be the only time he's around there.
Yeah. And despite not having a sword, this dungeon is fully completable due to having the hammer. Phase 2 of Helmasaur the hammer is a bit tricky, but it is doable. Or 8 arrows. In Lisvier, we have not seen what the green pendant leads to. The only time the green pendant is required in a seed is if a crucial item is at the pedestal, or Sarashla holds a crucial item.
Looks like Jet might be heading up to Catfish.
Yeah, that does indeed look the case. And again, no skull wood, so no mirror. Yeah, unfortunately, Jet's routing decisions so far, while normally the overworld and a few other places aren't, I suppose both were dungeons, but his routing decisions have put him behind Jim firmly at this point. Still not enough to seal the deal, but it's definitely hurting. And just bombs from Catfish, a whole lot of nothing. No, Kapow, Sahasrahla does not tell you what item is locked behind the green pendant. It is a blind guess.
Sahasrahla only tells you what dungeon is the green pendant. So if it's not on the light world, when you talk to him when you're checking Eastern, you do get a bit of information about the dark world.
Yep. Bentizi, the mirror was inside of Skull Woods, with the cape being Graveyard Ledge locked behind the mirror. So at this point in time, that has hurt Jet, because not only is the bow still in the back of his cape, the lamp is locked behind the mirror, which is inside of Skull Woods.
Just a piece of heart on the pyramid ledge, or a full heart.
Jet starts in on that second row of health now. That is a very interesting strategy from Jim, using the Canis Samaria to prevent having to walk out of the room to reset the jellies. Blocks them, does the dash bonk, and is able to get the pegs up before any of them are in that area that you would normally drop down to. Very nice strategy.
And executed very cleanly. Nice.
Yep, and Jet is headed to Pod without the bow. Unfortunately, this will drop him further behind.
He will not be able to get past those mimic rooms.
Yep, plus there is no lamp, so we will be seeing dark rooms from Jet for the maze.
And he does know where the lamp is. He saw it up on the ledge when he checked. But he does not have the mirror, so he cannot get the cape.
Yep, that is correct.
Jet does have the sword, so he'll be able to see the dark, where he is in a dark maze.
Yep, the sparkle of the sword does help with navigation. It's interesting to note that the first sword, logic-wise, is indeed in Hera, I believe it was. Locked behind Hookshot and Hammer, which came relatively early. And Jim has already cleared all of the items and is now heading to the back. No, that is correct. Zartos reminded me that as the first sword intended of the logic.
That's right, got it on the way back from Hera.
Yep, the swordless Helmosaur fight will be coming up here shortly. That'll be a fun one to see, because you can either use the hammer, which is a bit difficult because you have to strike up into Helmosaur's head, or you have to use 8 arrows on a fast-moving target. An agreed act. Jim's pace is incredible for not having a sword. 38, going close to 39 minutes in now.
See Jem moving through the turtle rooms pretty nicely.
Yep, a little bit of trouble with the last two, but nothing too major, and it was quite clean, relatively quick.
Jem starting his Helmosaur fight, getting a 17 hammer strikes onto him, getting started.
Yep. Unfortunately, we won't be seeing any bomb strats. It is a viable solution. It is actually written in the official strategy guide that came out with Link to the Past way back in the day, to use bombs on the mask. Each bomb counts as 4 hammer strikes, which means it would take 5 bombs if you wanted to blow up the mast that way.
Gems takes down Helmasaur using the 8 arrow strategy.
And makes short work of it, too. Even with the misses, piece of heart at the end. We see Jet headed towards Eastern now, or Sarashla. But Jet has already checked Sarashla, so...
He's probably going to turn in his green pendant and see what he gets.
That is correct. Gets a container for the trouble. Alucard, it is looking at this point that Jet may very well have forgotten about the back of Escape. And that will sink him if that isn't the case. Save and quit, he may remember, we'll see.
He's going to Sanctuary. Looks like he might have remembered.
Yes, he did remember. So Jet will finally get his bow and kick himself in the rear a bit about this. And knowing who he's up against, Jet probably realizes he is going to have a disadvantage.
Looks like Gem is heading into Swamp Palace, getting ready to find his 6 items in that dungeon.
Yes, problems. This is definitely going to make Jet realize that at this point in time against Gem, he is definitely behind. But he's going for the item in the dark at this point, looking for that rat. Found one, but it wasn't the right rat. Found another, so he's killed the 2 rats that do not have the key. And he finds it. And Jim has chosen to go straight into Swamp Palace, another dungeon that is completable. We'll be seeing the hookshot hammer strategies on Argus. Jim finds first sword in Swamp. So we have a sword in Swamp and a sword in Spiral Cave.
Very nice. When Jet gets there, he'll at least have the Master Sword. Just has to get to Skull Woods first.
And 20 rupees in the dark. The time invested wasn't too terrible for doing that in the dark, but it definitely wasn't worth it.
Looks like he's on his way back to Eastern and Pod.
Yep, has the bow. My guess, although there is no mirror still, because he's yet to go to Skull Woods. So it looks like he wants to finish up Pod and get that out the way. But,
yeah, he won't be able to do Eastern within that combo.
Exactly. Skull Woods has just been showing time and time again. Hey, check me first. I have stuff. And Jet not doing it is hurting him. But even then, we're seeing very solid playing from both of them. Without the knowledge of what the other knows, Jet's choices have not been all that bad, nor have they wasted time. He's just been unfortunate compared to Jim.
Yes, his gambles have not paid off. And Gem looks like he skipped left side Swamp.
Yep, Jim dislikes Swamp a lot. And if they have their way, they will skip left side Swamp every single time they have to go into it. On Gareth, the green pendant turned out to be a heart container. So unfortunately, the green pendant gamble from Jet did not pay off. The only item on Death Mountain of value was the sword inside Spiral Cave, because the shovel became a piece of heart.
Gem has picked up his Titan's Mitts in Swamp Palace.
Yep, very useful item. Jim now has the majority of the world open to them now. With the Titans, the only item missing at this juncture is the flute for easy access everywhere. And we're seeing the fighter sword spin strats from Jim. Who needs to menu to hook hammer when you can just spin everything? Although getting a little trolled here, it appears, with Arcus.
Yeah, Argus does not seem to be cooperating with Gem.
No, but with blue mail, 12 hearts, it'd take a lot to end up dying here.
Yeah, it looks
A
like
lot more
Gem
than
has.
one Gem. Yeah.
Yep, looks like Gem has got the groove going now.
Yep, Alucard. If we do miss any items in the tracking, just please let us know in chat and we'll get that updated.
Now Gem is trying to hammer Argus, going with left to right where he has the best hitbox for it.
Yeah. Although, personally, I mean, Argus is a bit difficult with the movement pattern. Looks like he got it straight off the bat that time. Okay, looks like he's found the rhythm. It's whenever you miss that first strike that it can easily get out of hand, and Argus will kill a lot of time for you. And at this juncture, item-wise, Jim needs to find another sword, the fire rod, and the flute at a minimum to be able to complete this seed. Yep, Jet showing just how useful beasts can be in the dark room of Pod.
Looks like Gem is going to attempt to check the Bombos tablet.
Nope.
Or, nope, he's going to go right past it, go to Agina.
Yep, I believe Jim simply went that direction and mirrored at the last possible moment to head towards the desert area. Agina is just one of those out-of-the-way locations that is almost never convenient to check. And so, coming out of swamp, well, it's just 20 rupees though. Old man does not have the goods. Okay, Jet is making short work here. Looks like Jet's going with the hammer strategy. Ooh, a little bit low on health though. Gotta be careful. Hitting with the hammer. Oh, switching over to the bow now.
And it looks like Gem is heading up towards Death Mountain. Hopefully he'll grab his second sword.
There we go. Jet finishes off with the second to last arrow in his inventory. And Jet is heading back inside for must be an item location or two that Jet did not check that he is doing so now. Yeah, Bentisi. At this point in time, Jet is definitely a bit behind. It's Skull Woods, really, at this point, that is the major point of interest that he needs to get to sooner than later.
Yeah, if he holds off on it much longer, Gem already has a 3 crystal lead on him. Gem just has to push his advantage and keep moving forward.
It's just a 2 at this point. Jet did finish off Helmasaur, but it looks like he left items behind.
Yeah, it looks like he's gonna clean that up now.
Yep, Jim's doing the light world here. It'll be curious to see if Jim considers Hera of any value. Struggling a bit with those mini Moldorns until out comes the bomb. He's gonna find nothing in this here cave. But depending on where they go next, since they have the mirror, it doesn't matter when they enter the dark world. Jim pulling off that nice little bomb jump that saves a bit of backtrack time.
It's definitely nice to get it. Saves a couple seconds.
Yeah, but if you fail it once, I believe it's about even. If you fail it a second time, you are losing time. But it's one of the easier bomb jumps to set up. And it looked like there was only rupees up on the floating island. Could be wrong, I missed. I think it was 50 though.
I did not catch it, but Jem is heading to Spiral Cave. He's going to pick up his Master Sword.
Yep, Jim will be happy to see that. That means there will not be a hunt for a sword, like some seeds like to do. So it's simply a matter of continuing through dungeons, overworld, and finding those final few items.
And Jet is heading towards the Dark World. Could be that he's going to head up into Skull Woods and find his mirror.
Kapow, Jet is not throwing this race away. It can be argued that he has not made any true errors with the knowledge he has, simply because it's part of Randomizer is luck. If you put off one item or one location where an item is at that's important and the other person does not, that's just part of Randomizer. His execution has still been solid, and he's not done anything too terrible, so I wouldn't quite say he's throwing it away.
Right, his sequence break didn't lose him too much, and he is going to be catching up now that he's grabbing his mirror.
Yep. Fire Rod is in the Death Mountain climb, so Jim is now one more item closer to go mode with that. That will allow the revisit to Skull Woods.
He'll be able to grab the one item he's missing from there and kill Mothula.
And now we're seeing Hookshot Cave here.
We've got the single green rupee. Nothing much so far.
There's the Tempered for Jim in Hookshot Cave. So the Dark World is paying off.
It's very nice to find. No Master Sword Ganon. He's going to be set.
Yep, Jim doing a quick medallion check at T-Rock. And then heading west, presumably to Spike Cave, perhaps. It does have the cape, so it is in the logic.
And he gets a nice fairy there, going in at full health to Spike Cave.
Alucard, I missed what the medallion was. I do know Jim has checked it. We'll have to... Looks like Manichi said we have Manichi saying it was Bamos.
Just a piece of heart in the Spike Cave. Looks like Jet is going to go pick up his cape from the graveyard ledge.
Yep, Jet will be happy to see that, because he knows that it will lead to the lamp now. Okay, sounds like it may be Quake at Turtle Rock. Yeah, Jim did check it extremely fast.
Jem is on his way. He's going to clear out Skull Woods, it looks like.
Yep, going back for another crystal, and there was one item still left in this dungeon. Whether it's on Mothula or through the bottom maze navigation there, we'll find out.
It's always nice when it's on Mothula, because then if you gamble just to do him, you save yourself a little bit of time.
Yeah, but fortunately with that mirror, if it's not, it'll be a little bit more out of time, but not all that much. And unfortunately, there is no book still. So Logic isn't certain yet if it wants to give him the flute for Desert. If it is required indeed. Bit low on magic here. And, yep, pulling out the lamp. Getting a little bit harassed by the Gyvdos there. Waiting on that hand to fall.
Making sure he doesn't get grabbed as he jumps down the hole to Mothula.
Nothing is more annoying or embarrassing than getting grabbed as you fall down a moth, and he made short work of that fight.
That was a good, clean fight, but he only got bombs out of it, so we're still looking for the flute.
Yeah, but that was the second item, so Jem will not be required to go back in to check the last chest in the dungeon. So we have Jet headed back into the Dark World, perhaps to Swamp at this point. Looks like Jem will be docking back into the Dark World here, perhaps. With the Titans, there is the Smith, the Purple Chest, and Peg Cave. We don't have any powder yet, so the Magic Bat is still off the map at this point.
And we don't have a mushroom either, so we can't do the powder skip by wasting all the magic and then using the mushroom on the bat.
Yep, that is an interesting one that has just recently been shown off in a race setting. It was a very interesting clip because no one had any idea that it was possible.
Yeah, that was a really nice clip. It was hilarious. And last night saw a race where they used the mushroom to refill with the anti-fairies, refill their hearts in Ganon's tower before the Troll Dorm fight.
That is a very useful thing. One moment and I will post the clip of the red cane. There's Silvers and Peg Cave. Vitreous became a breeze for these runners.
We have Jet going into Spike Cave. Sadly, it won't pay off very much.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, here you go, chat. Here is a clip of the red cane and mushroom.
Looks like the Smiths are just making bomb bags in their little hut.
Yep, and Jim's picking up the purple chest. My best guess would be after checking what is in the chest, we may see an Ice Palace run. And Jim is putting that hook shot to good use. If you come off immediately after a hook shot when you're pulled, you can dash with the chest without dropping it.
That's a very nice strat to have. He looks like he's going to pair it with checking Stumpy.
Stumpy and Dig. Although actually Stumpy has already been checked, so this is simply a dig spot and we'll find a piece of heart.
Gem getting the bounce off the tree to move just a little bit faster.
Yep, there's a lot of interesting movement techs that really shave frames here and there, and we're seeing Jim put them all to good use. And the blue boomerang in the chest.
Looks like Jem might be heading over to Ice Palace.
Yep, definitely interesting to stick to the Dark World to do so. But, as you said, looks like we are seeing the Ice Palace with its 3 items. And depending on what comes up in Ice, if there's still no flute, then Jem will be required to go into Desert, Turtle Rock, since we know Hera has nothing. And Jet will be finding his Master Sword here shortly.
It'll be interesting if Jet checks the left side of Swamp, and if the flute is hiding there.
If the flute is left side of Swamp, that would give Jet a much needed reprieve at this point. But we'll have to wait and see. I know most runners like going straight to Argus and then considering whether or not to go left. So we'll have to see if he goes there first or considers it after.
Jem missed the double Stalfos kill on the first shot, but he gets it the second time around.
And Signums, I do agree that Jet probably believes that he is behind finding the bow where he did and then the mirror. But it depends on how many items are on that left side. If there's 2 items there, or the big cannon item, it is difficult to leave stuff, and as Alucard says, Jet's playstyle is more of the dungeon completionist type.
And Jem going through the Ice Palace bomb jump, no problems at all. Runners of this skill have no issues with these bomb jumps today.
Yep, like I said, we've seen extremely solid execution from both sides. The swordless from Jem, a couple of issues here and there, but nothing major, and they were still quick, clean fights. So, yep, and Jet is indeed going to the left side of Swamp. So if Jet is lucky, he'll come up with the flute. And we will definitely have a race at that point between the fact, mostly because Jem hates Swamp. He has problems. A flute on the left side could very well be a disaster for Jem. And Jem still hasn't found inside of Ice Palace, so there is a chance. Otherwise, another fun thing could be flute at the pedestal.
That's true.
It would require them to find some other items elsewhere. But Kapow Fire Rod was on the Dark World Death Mountain climb on the right side. We have Alucard saying flute at Trinex with the Kappa face. We have seen that before, maybe not in a race, but it has come up in seeds before. So that could also be an interesting location.
And it doesn't look like Jet found the flute in left side Swamp.
Nope, unfortunately not. So that dream is quashed. Jim is still item checking inside of Ice, because he had to find all 3 items. And Dr. Bob-tastic has proven that yes, the flute can drop from Trinex, as he apparently had it occur during his race. It would definitely be a fun one to see, because that would require the ice rod and a dip into the only Pendant Dark World dungeon, which is generally something that people don't like to do, especially Turtle Rock. Oh, Jim did not check Big Chest and Swamp either.
And it has the flute in Ice Palace Big Chest.
Ice Palace Big Chest. Well, rip the dream. So, at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, Jim has entered Go Mode 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 45 seconds into this seed. After Ice Palace, it is a jaunt into Mire after activating the flute, finding the big key, and then over to Ganon's Tower. So unfortunately, Jet is indeed behind by a fair margin. No? What am I missing here? Medallion? Oh, that's right, the Mire medallion.
I think that's Zelda's left that could troll him. Is if
I may be eating my words. Yep. Thank you for reminding me. I will eat my words if it is not Bombos, then potential Go Mode. Schrodinger's mode. I like that. So Jim's decision to not check Swamp left or its Big Chest does pay off in the end for Jim, and Jet just costs more time.
Yep, looks like Jem is going to go check Misery Mire out after he opens up his flute.
Yep.
Jet has finished off Swamp, and it looks like he's going to go straight into Ice Palace from there.
Yep, he may check Hylia Island and get the bottle, or he may simply mirror in front of Ice Palace. We'll see here in a moment. At this point in time, though, he still does not have the Fire Rod. He has not finished Skull Woods, so he's fallen a bit behind. And it looks like it is indeed Bombos for Mire, so Jim is confirmed Go Mode. Yep, at this point in time, barring a massive disaster to Jim's hardware, software, etc., Jim will most likely pull the win out of this match. The Fire Rod is found on the Dark World Death Mountain climb shortly before Hookshot Cave. Yep, Jet will full clear Ice and Mire both. So
he is going to have to. He's looking for that Fire Rod.
Yep. So, depending on where the big key is inside of Mire will dictate how far Jim does the dungeon here. And, no, we do not have a God Mire. So it looks like Jim already went right side here first. So we'll see Jim head on over to the switch room. And curious to see which direction they go from that room.
Looks like he's got the Fire Rod out, so he might go straight into the torches from the switch room.
Yep, that does look the case. Does he also do the I believe it is a 14-second cutscene for the next room of torches. Finds one of the items, fairy in a bottle. And nope, does not want any part of that cutscene and is headed back to the right. Probably check the fire bar chest up here. Nope, another small key. There's one more chest Jim can check unless they go left here. Nope. Opting instead to check the last chest possible before the vanilla big key.
And there it is. He doesn't have to go through this cutscene.
Yep. Big key in hand. Almost no magic at this point. Jim is headed towards Vitreous. Arguably one of the harder dark rooms in the game, but because of the lamp, it is child's play.
Grabbing a magic refill along the way, too.
Yep. So Jet's continuing his check through Ice Palace, and is eventually going to find his way over to the flute and a crystal. Okay, Jim is about to enter Vitreous here with silvers and 38 arrows. It is one of the quicker boss fights in the game.
Very clean, very quick on Jem's side. He picks up the last small key.
Yep, and that is the 7th crystal for Jim. So next up will be the climb to Ganon's Tower. And as usual, folks, there are 22 potential locations for the big key. There are 5 on the right, 17 on the left, and depending on the route, depends on how long it takes. So go ahead, number 1 through 22. Where do you think Jim will find the big key?
And I am going to guess what I always guess. The tile room, number 22. Which
The tile room generally is the 22nd item checked, simply because of the time sink, and it has been interesting the amount of times the big key has been inside of the tile room. Myself, I am going to say the compass room on the right-hand side in the top left chest is my guess this time. So I'll admit I have not seen Jim run Ganon's Tower, so I do not know their approach. So it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if he gambles to go through the whole of the right side or just grab the first 2 chests.
Yep, and there we see Jim executing the block clip flawlessly, climbing up. Saves a transition or 2, as well as potential menuing time when you can get that down with the hook shot. Ooh, and here we see Jet on the left here doing Master Sword slashes on Cold Stare. He's got 2 of the puffs down, making short work. Almost had that 3rd trapped, and he is done.
Still a very clean fight for Jet.
Yep. Cold Stare, each puff has a rather large health pool, and Master Sword is very weak against that pool of health. So, but unfortunately, he's still missing that fire rod. He has everything else he needs at this point. He hasn't found the silvers, but he needs to go to Dark Death Mountain and get that fire rod if he wants to finish up this seed. So here we have Jim, 1 hour, 14 minutes, 50 seconds inside of Ganon's Tower. This is one of the fastest seeds I've seen in the tournament. Jim comes up with another 4 piece of heart for another container and the blue cane in the right. So looks like we'll be going left. That's 2 items down.
Well, it's not on the torch. Just a red rupee on Bob.
Yep, so that's 3 down now. Jim's about to be heading over to the Skelly room. Always a fun one. And that is correct. Jim's first sword was, I believe it was 40-something minutes in.
Jen grabs the red mail.
Yep. So Jim is definitely, it will be a cakewalk from here on out. Red mail, 13 hearts, tempered, and silvers. This is chest number 8. There's the Quake medallion. Jim pulling out the cane for these blocks rather than the boomerang strats, because the magic boomerang makes it more difficult than the blue one. So we're moving on to item location 9 through 12, or 9 and then 10 through 12. I can't math.
That's alright. It looks like Jet is going into desert, searching for items.
There is the first shield of the game, and unfortunately, since we know where the last item is for Jet, this is a bit heartbreaking to see. Jim blowing open the randomizer room. Fire Rod is in the Dark Death Mountain with the 2 chests with the full magic refill. We see the Ice Rod in the randomizer room, a container, 3 bombs, and the burrito. So we're steadily burning through items and have yet to find the big key.
Jet has grabbed the magic powder. I got a feeling that it's going to send him over to the magic bat now.
Yep, and Jim is heading towards item 14, the Bob chest, I believe it's called by some. With the nice, lovely anti-fairy to just sit there and pound away. Nope, finds the second shield also inside Ganon's tower. And drops down to the Ice Armos.
Jet's gonna check Checkerboard Cave now, it looks like.
Okay, Jim makes relatively quick work of the Armos on the ice. And we have a small key, 300 rupees, and blue rupee. So now Jim has to go right. The dream of the tile room is still alive. Okay, we see Jet headed over into Mire. He will no doubt full clear Mire as well. He'll find his fairy in a bottle, and I'm not certain what the second item will be. But unfortunately, it'll come up short from what he's looking for. It's a real shame, because he's had access to the Fire Rod's location for some time. Ever since he left Swamp.
It's gonna really hurt when he finally finds it there.
Yep, he's going to realize he missed something relatively easy and early in. Whenever he sees Jim's done in probably 7 or 8 minutes at this point. So Jim's headed over into the compass room. There's the compass. There's ether. There's the mushroom. Hey, big key, top left of compass, just like I called. Item 22.
Very nice job.
Not quite the tile room, but it was one off. Yep, and Jim just about finishes filling out their inventory with their Ganon Tower check. You see quick work of the mimics on the climb, and Jim is up to the next floor just about here. So, Gauntlet. We'll curious to see how Jim deals with the 3 skeletons that usually seem to be the trolliest room of the 4 or 5 that you have to go through. Opts not to get the magic or the fairies to the south and just starts right on up.
Very clean first room.
Yep, this is the one I'm curious about. Up, snipes the first skeleton, gets the second with the pot. And misses with the pot, but gets the sword slash. That is a nice arrow shot right there.
Seems to be breezing through this gauntlet right now.
Yep, and Jim is showing us why they were one of the top-ranked seeds coming into this Swiss rounds after the qualifiers. Even though seeds were not used for these initial matches, Jim was up there in the top 3.
And Jet has to push every block out of his way so that he can use the torch on these sconces, I suppose they're called.
Sconces, torches. I do like the word sconce.
It's a nice one we don't get to use very often.
Very true. And Jim is once more climbing up another floor. Opts not to get that full magic. Probably see another 1 cycle here. That's kind of the name of the game with Jim. 1 cycle everything.
Yep, skipping another magic refill, but he's still got 1 more coming to him in the room after the Helmosaur.
Yeah, plus he'll be probably picking up the one here with the laser eyes before going up into that 4th torch room after this one, simply due to the lack of magic.
That's right, he's going to need that much magic to light all 4 of them with the fire rod.
Yep. Showing somewhat how laser skip works and then getting clipped by 1. But he doesn't even need to kill either of the Helmosaurs, so Jim is just mere rooms away from Agatu at this point.
Torching
Nice.
the chest on his way through.
Yeah, nice. Oh, Jim has the mushroom and no powder. We're about to see the cane use here, it looks like. Yep.
And he gets
There
it.
you have
Nice
it, ladies
refill.
and gentlemen. When you have no magic, you use the red cane, you get the error sound, you immediately pull up the inventory, you switch to the mushroom. Due to it sharing the same property, or item slot with the powder, it acts as the powder. So even though you do not have powder or you're out of magic, you still get to use it.
It doesn't have too many uses other than just magic bat and this location right here where it was very useful. But so it's a nice little thing to have in your arsenal.
Pure aim, I know Jim probably could have done it with 5 hearts, but it was definitely fun to see. So, hey, we'll say perhaps a bit of both swag and a little bit of health. Jim pulling off a triple, but unfortunately it only counts as 2 with how close they were. But even then, looks like this will be a 4-cycle Agate 2. And there you have it.
Very nice. It was pretty clean.
Yep. And Jim will be finishing the seed well before that 130 mark. So all that's left is 4 phases and 4 silver arrows. Tempered Sword, Jim could probably do this fight in their sleep. Here we see Jet on Vitreous using the NMG strat of take the 1-hearted damage from the goo around Vitreous in the eyes, and then execute spin attacks. And then out comes the bow for the 8 arrows. Okay, we see Jim moving into phase 2 again in here. And that is going to make a very quick phase 2 in that top corner there.
Feels really nice when you get that little corner spot and just take
3 spin
down Ganon in
attacks
there.
and it's done. So phase 3. Jet is fluting away from Desert at this time, and where is he going? He's going to Kakariko. So, he still is not on the right track of the Fire Rod, unfortunately.
Looks like he might be doing the Smiths and Lunchbox combo.
Yep. Did you find the arrows in the Dark World? Yes, Jim did. As Ganon is about to woefully find out. With a double here. Nope, not quite. So we'll see that torch used one more time. And Ganon goes down.
And we have an official SRL time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 15 seconds. A nice sub 130.
Yep, fantastical execution. Well played. Perfect luck on the routing with a little bit of luck and some smart choices of where to go first. Just overall well played. We have Jet picking up silvers now from Peg Cave. Still not sure where the Fire Rod is for him, it seems.
Jet has picked up his silver arrows and is gonna give in the Smiths and pick up his bomb upgrade.
Okay, and it looks like we'll be having Jim joining us here shortly for an interview while we watch Jet continue on with the seed, and hopefully he heads in the direction of that Fire Rod real soon. Once he does, it is a quick bit of work to Skull Woods, and then he can commit to his climb and kill.
Ooh, he's checking Mad Batter now. See what he has. Now Jet probably fluting over to the swamp. He's going to turn in his lunchbox, but he's not going to get his Fire Rod here. Gets his boomerang. Ooh, he is going up to Death Mountain though now. Probably, oh, gets trolled by a dead rock though. It's like he's gonna flute away and try for a little better RNG.
Yep, Jet is finally thankful to see, and he is aware that Jim has finished. But of course, he intends to go through, and with this, here's Jim. Well played.
Thank you.
GG, Jam. How was that?
Sorry.
How did you like your sub 130 run here?
Well, that's certainly pretty rare in B26, so I'm kind of happy.
Yeah, we were definitely impressed. Early on, we saw immediate differences in the route, and the biggest difference was you went right to the Bonk Cave, got your gloves, went right to the back of Sanctuary, and came out with the bow. There's Jet with his Fire Rod.
And a little bit of
Smashed the chest a few
frustration
times.
out of that chest.
Oh man.
Yep. Fire Rod was the last item Jet was looking for. Yours was the flute, as you know. How did you like playing pretty much the first 2/3 of that without a sword?
Well, I'm kind of used to that thanks to Entrance Shuffle. So it wasn't that bad, but yeah, that blind was kind of stressing me out. I would have liked to have a sword there.
Yes, it was definitely, we got to see some great execution from you. We expected as such. Both you and Jet are excellent players, and both of you, especially yourself, showed us that in one of those rare sub 130 seeds. Does the chat have any questions for Jim that they'd like to ask?
Looks like Jet is gonna go check Pyramid Fairy now.
I guess Jet is just checking because Jet can. I mean, he has the Master Sword. He has everything he needs for the game. Wait a sec. He got the flute from Ice. Interesting.
Kind of wonder what he's looking for here.
Here we go. One question for you, Jim. People want to know why you hate Swamp Palace and why you skipped left side.
Because the left side is literally the devil.
Left side's the devil. Okay. Jet did check the left side and came up with literally nothing.
See? Don't go there. It's horrible.
And it looks like Jet has forfeit the seed at this point.
Oh man.
We did
get the swag net.
Yeah, we do have some people asking if the further in you got into the seed, if you were starting to wonder whether or not the flute could be in Swamp.
Just a bit, but I still had Ice Palace open in some pendant dungeons and escape, which like just never seemed tasty to me. So yeah, there were still plenty of options before I would go back into the ROM.
Yep, and that's kind of what we figured. We were honestly hoping to see the flute in the left side to try to give Jet a little bit more of an equalizer. He put off Dark Death Mountain for an eternity, which pretty much was that final nail in the coffin in terms of the race.
I guess he went to Light World Death Mountain pretty early.
Yes, he did. He actually sequence broke to Light World Death Mountain. And he only came out with the sword out of Spiral Cave for it. Whenever you checked, Bumper Cave, we saw where the lamp was. We knew how far out he displaced the logic whenever you found the mirror in Skull Woods, which was another location he had put off. And then, that led to the cave, which led to the lamp. But unfortunately, Death Mountain only had the sword. So his gamble of sequence breaking early like that really didn't pay off.
Yeah, Death Mountain was kind of meh in this seed.
Yep.
Aside from Dark World.
Your routing was pretty much on point for what this seed provided. So that was very impressive.
Kept giving me stuff to get into dungeons, so I went into dungeons. Because that's what V26 wants.
Yep. A lot of people seem to believe that between the bow and Jet not going into Skull Woods as early as he could have, that kind of hurt him early on. But it was an excellent showing. Definitely proved why you were, top 3 of the seed coming into this tournament. And there were quite a few people that hoped to see you go all the way. I know this is only round 1 of Swiss.
Well, I'd like to go all the way. But we'll see about that.
Yep. It looks like Jet will not be joining us here in the interview. So, anything you'd like to comment on the seed, the tournament, etc., Jim?
Please, more of these seeds. I like sub 130s.
Yep. That was definitely great to see a sub 130 seed for once. They are rare. And,
it is a nice change. The secondary tournament's been a lot of 230s and longer.
Oh man.
Yep, and just a reminder, folks in the chat, go ahead and follow the runners, Jet082 and JimOAI for Twitch usernames. Both of these runners are fantastic, as you've seen, and I imagine both will go a long way in this tournament. And you have myself on commentary, joined by Who42 Baker, and you had VascoBot on tracking. unless either of y'all have anything else, that's all I've got.
Yeah, just checking the next matches. Looks like there's a 6 p.m. and a 4 p.m. in the main tournament that's going to be on Speed Gaming between Files and Kroya, I believe.
Yep. We have, looks like in a little over an hour, we have another main tournament match between Files and Kruya on this same channel, Speed Gaming 2. Followed immediately by another. It looks like we'll be having a 4-person 2 1v1s in 4 hours from now, immediately following that match. Around that time. So definitely have plenty more Zelda coming up on Speed Gaming 2. There may be some on Speed Gaming 1. So keep an eye out, folks, for the next streams. I am Space Cowboy 2011. With me is Who42 Baker. You have your winner, Jim, over Jet082. And I hope y'all have a wonderful day.
Have a great day, everybody. Peace.